Guys, it's Maymay, and if you were with me last Saturday, you would have seen this box be constructed. This is a stationary card box. I call it a gift box because you can give this to someone as a gift and they can get a bunch of cards. We are going to make today the cards and tags that go into these slots. So if you want to see how this box is made, I'm going to link it for you in the description so you can see that. And I'm going to show you today how to make cards, continuing our card making series. So many of you asked me to do this today to show you kind of what I would do. So that's exactly what we're going to do. All right, so we have to make 6 A2 size cards, 6 3x3 cards, and 6 tags that fit into this square or into this little pocket. So let me show you what my plans are. Let me close this guy up. We won't need the box really until we're done to fill everything in. So here's what I did to prep. So I need 6 of everything, okay? So I'm gonna show you and give you the dimensions. And don't worry, I'll have all the dimensions on the blog. And I do my best to get them right every time, but I'm human. Sometimes I type things wrong, but I fix them as soon as you guys point it out to me. So I appreciate that. Okay, so here we go. The first thing I have cut for myself are black card bases. Now I wanted to use black because I think it'll be pretty against this Christmas paper. But the card base you choose color, totally up to whatever paper you're using. What I did, because I need 6 A2 size cards, I cut 3 pieces of 8.5 by 11 cardstock in half, the long way for me, and then I scored them down the middle at 5.5. So I have 6 card bases ready to go. So these will be the cards that live in our box. Now notice here I have these white squares. When you're making cards, if you're gonna use the inside of the card and it's black bases like this, you want to make sure you put something inside of there that either you can write on or stamp on or decorate, because if you leave this black, that's not a very efficient note card unless you want to write on it in like a metallic marker, which is super cool, and I've done that before too. But I went ahead and cut myself some inserts for the insides of these cards so I can kind of assembly line put them together. So these inserts are 4 by 5.25, and they're just made to sit right inside when they're folded. I'm going to put those aside for now. Then I made for myself some 3 by 3 card bases, and what these are is they are 3 by 6 inches of cardstock scored in the middle. You can see there the score mark in the middle. So when folded, these will be 3 by 3. I went ahead and did the same thing here and cut insert base or insert mats in for the inside, and these are going to be 1/4 inch smaller so I can have a little border around the edge. So these are 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. So I'll have 6 of these little note cards. Now I had a lot of people question note cards, like why would we give someone 3 by 3 note cards? I find I don't use them. They're expensive to mail, etc. They are expensive to mail, and actually I'm working with the girls at my post office to bring you guys a video to talk about mailing procedures and to save some money or what it'll cost you. And these guys, because they're an unusual size and they're actually smaller, they actually cost more to mail if you were to mail them. I know that's crazy, but they do. Now here's how I use a 3 by 3 card. I love to have these to tie onto a gift bag. I love to have them to drop into a gift bag, so they're totally usable. I think they're adorable, especially if you're given just a little token gift and you just want to tie a card onto it. I think this is a perfect little thing to do. So I think it's great to add to this stationery gift. So 3 by 3s. Then these are going to be the tags. Now these tags measure 2 3/8 by 3 1/2. Now we don't like to work in 8s, I understand that, but it just really fits in that pocket well. But if you don't like to work in 8s, just trim it down by 1/8 inch and make it 2 1/4. It'll be fine. It'll just be a little wiggly, but you can totally do that. So also, because on these tags we're going to want to write to and from, I made myself some little matte pieces to put on the backs of the tags. So these are ready to be glued into place, and they're 1/4 inch smaller as well. Now before I glue this down, I want to tell you, if you're going to decorate this with stamping or anything like that, now's the time to do it. Go ahead and stamp these before you adhere them down. That way if you have any stamping errors, you can just replace this and not have to replace both pieces. I'm going to leave it blank because I find that's a super cool way to give a gift, because that way you never know what the person may use it for or who they may send it to. And even though I'm doing this in a Christmas theme, you just never know. Somebody might want to write, you know, Secret Santa. You just never know what they may want to put on the back. So I'm leaving the back of it blank. So that's the back of a tag, and we'll decorate the front. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do one of the note cards, and then we'll move on to the A2 card, and then I'll do these off screen so you don't have to watch. So here's the 3 by 3 note card. Here's the little mat to go inside. And remember, To fancy these up, use your punches. Use your corner punches, your angle punches, whatever you have if you want to do that to kind of fancy up these edges. I'm just doing this simple for the purposes of video to kind of show you how you could get this done simple and easy. So there's that mat on the inside, and you can see it's got that little black border. So then when I fold this over and bone fold it into place, just like this, I now have a 3x3 card that I can decorate the front and have a place for them to write on the inside. Now onto our A2 size cards. Again, stamp or decorate these any way you want before you put them in. So if you make a mistake, you don't have to recut your card base and all that. That's just a saver for your cardstock. Then I'm just going to glue this into place right inside. Another thing adding these inside mats does is it gives the card even more stability and makes it feel a little thick and richer, because I like a very thick, heavy card. So now this one is perfect for whoever we're giving this to write a lot of things. Then I'm just going to fold this over and bone fold it. Now again, I'm going to bone fold it after the fact, because if I do it beforehand, I really will have to do it twice, because once I open this up flat to glue that inside, I end up having to bone fold it again once I close it. So there we go. All right, I'm going to go and put all the mats in and mat all the tags, and we'll move on to the next step. So now you see we have the starting of our tags and cards. There's our 6 tags, the back side of them. Here are our 6 note cards, all matted on the inside, ready to go. And these are our 6 A2 size cards. Now the cool thing about these is when you go to decorate them, your orientation really doesn't matter, because the way we did this, because they're pretty plain and we didn't stamp on the inside, it allows me to be able to put whatever I want on the front in any orientation, right? So this saves time as well. Now I'm going to kind of call this video mass producing cards with a paper pack, and the reason is this. I like to show you how to get the most you can out of one paper pack. So the paper pad I'm using is this one by Mad for Plaid. It's called Christmas by Michelle Coleman. I love this one. We carry this in our store at maymaymadeit.com. And I actually use this same pad for the creation of the box. You can see I got my polka dots from here. I got my stripes from here, so that'll be familiar. I'm still working in this paper pad, and we're going to get all of these cards and tags. I'm going to use one 12 by 12 piece of paper for the basis for my cards, note cards, and tags. We're going to use just this piece. I'm going to use this side, and I'm also going to use this side. So keep that in mind whenever you're doing this next step, what piece of paper you're going to use for this. Now this is a 12 by 12 piece of cardstock I'm going to use as a template. I typically go into my cardstock stash and pick a color that I won't use very often, and this yellow is something I rarely lean to. It's just not one of my favorite colors. So I thought I could use this for a template. So here's what I did. I went ahead and made lines at the top of this sheet in 4 by 5 1/4, 4 by 5 1/4, and 4 by 5 1/4 squares. If I were to cut each of these pieces, they would be the mat for one of my A2 size cards. So I could get 3 full-size mats. But the way I'm going to decorate my cards, I can do these 3 pieces and cut them down and then put them onto 6 cards. I'll show you what I mean in a second. Same thing here. I bet you recognize this. This is 6 2 3/4 by 2 3/4 squares. Why are they 2 3/4? Because they will fit right inside of our 3 by 3 note cards and map the entire front. So I can get 6 out of this section. Now you wonder what all of this section is for? This is for our tags. We're going to use all of this to decorate our tags. So let's work up here on the A2 card fronts. Now like I said, if I were to cut these out just like this, they would cover the whole card, and I would need 3 more of these. But we're going to make it where they work all together just as they are. So the first thing I'm going to do is come up here to this first one, and I'm just going to take my ruler, and I'm just going to decide to do this one on a diagonal. I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to run a line all the way through the middle from corner to corner on this card. Now when I cut this out in this shape, I'm going to be able to use this triangle and this triangle on the front of a card to give it some interest, right? It'll be my first mat. Then of course we'll put a focal image. I'll show you where that's going to come to. Now on the second one, I might want to do it a little different. Instead of just diagonal, I think what I'll do with this is do it in half. So I'm going to line it up on my mat here, and then I'm just going to run this ruler down the center. I'm kind of eyeballing, but in the truth of the matter, this is just a template, so it's just telling me how to cut. I'll actually cut on my cutting tool. Okay, then for this one, this last one, I can do anything I want. I think I will do it through the middle. Let's just do it like this. Let me turn it this way so I can use my cutting mat again. Line it up. And I'm just going to eyeball the center and this just lets me know what to do when I cut these down. Okay, it looks confusing, I know, but still remember, this is one card front, and one card front. Now you can do these any old way you want. I'm just trying to keep it kind of simple. As for the tag section, the tag section, I'm not going to do anything except cut this away for now. I'll figure out how I want to lay that down later. All right, so what I'm going to do with this is I'm basically going to transpose it onto this piece. Okay, so I'm going to put this to the side so I have it as my guide, and I'm going to go to my trimmer. So with my template off to the side and my paper here, I know that the top of the page, I want to cut down in that strip to make all those card bases. So the first thing I need to do is cut away this little decorator strip that comes on most 12 by 12 paper. So what I'm going to do is just lay this in my trimmer and cut it away. You might have noticed I do something called setting my blade. I'll show you what that means. All right, I'm going to make sure I keep the orientation of these Santas facing up. There's a reason for that. Let's just make sure we do that for now, and I'll explain that in a second. So my first cut, based on my template, okay, needs to be at 5 1/4. Let's make it even easier, because if you're new to this, it'll get confusing. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to cut 5 1/4. I'm just going to make my notes. Here, I'll cut at 4, here at 8. Okay, so that lets me know what these cut lines are. So let's do that. So keep looking at your template, and remember, you can use that template for future projects. So here I need to cut 5 1/4. Why is that? Because these are card fronts, and they're going to be on a 5 1/2 inch card. That'll make sense. All right, setting your blade. Here's something I like to do. If you have trouble getting a nice smooth cut, one thing you might want to do is put your trimmer down, press your blade into the paper where you want it, and then go up and down, right? Or down and up, vice versa, doesn't matter. Sometimes you get a better cut when you do that. Just sink the blade and then go back and forth. So here is that first strip, okay? So remember, we're mimicking this right here. Okay, so back to our template. So we need to cut this at 4, okay? And then we need to cut this at 4 again, or 8. Okay, I'm just doing this because I know every 4 inches. Now I also like to cut from up into the paper. The reason is it pushes the paper up to the stability bar right here that holds it in place, and you get a much straighter cut that way. So I rarely pull down. You'll see me pull down sometimes because I'll just get to going, but I like to push up. So now we've made these 4 pieces that we then decided to cut in such a way based on our template. So here's what we're going to do. We'll take the first one, and remember, we're going to cut this one from end to end on an angle. So I'm just going to put that in my trimmer and cut that from end to end. Here I really like to set, the reason I do, whenever you put these points into your cutting line like that, sometimes when you cut, if your blade's not super sharp, if your paper's kind of thin, it can just buckle the paper and not actually cut it. So I like to sink the blade, I'm going to pull down, and then I'm going to push up, and end up with much cleaner cuts that way. So there's our first template cut, the diagonal. So now we'll go to the second one, which we decided to cut in half. So half of this is going to be 2 inches. So I'm just going to put it on 2. So now I have these pieces for a card, put those aside. Now this one we decided to cut in half this way. Now you may be a genius when it comes to math and measuring, and that's awesome, and you'll know exactly what half of 5 1/4 is. But since I'm not real good at that, watch this. I'm just gonna fold this in half and give myself the cut mark. You guys said you like to know little cheats, so there's mine. So now I'm just gonna lay that in and just cut right into that. Actually, I think I'm gonna sink my blade since I kind of loosened the fibers. Look at that, perfect. Okay. That is what we need. This little section is what we need to get our A2 card started. Now, let's take the leftovers, all right, and cut this section out. Now, I did not mark my measurement here, so let me mark that. So this line from this edge of the paper is 5 1/2, okay? And then I can just cut it into the 2 3/4. That'll be easy enough. So let me show you what I mean by that. So this is that bottom section of the 12 by 12 that's left. So I'm going to turn it and put it into my trimmer at 5 1/2. Okay, sink my blade, cut up and down. I'm going to move this aside and use this for my tags. Okay, then I'm going to come here and I'm just going to start cutting 2 3/4. I'm going to cut this 3 times to get me what I need for my little cards. Now remember, this is scrap for our tags, both sides of that. I'm going to put that aside. And then these guys need to be cut in half at 2 3/4. just like that. Now, even though one side is Santa, don't forget we still have this side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make 3 of my little note cards have snowflakes and 3 of them have Santas. That's why I said it's important to pay attention to your orientation, because with squares it's not such a big deal, but you want to make sure whatever orientation or shape you're using, your pattern is laying the right way. So there's what we need for those. All right, so this is pretty much ready for us to start assembling again. So I'm going to take these guys first and go back to my note cards. And I'm going to take, let's take 1 of each. And I'm just going to glue these directly onto the front of my note card. Now don't worry, that's not the decorations. We're just putting this into place. So I'm going to start with 1. This is just going to be my base or my starting point for what I'm actually going to decorate with. And you're going to love this because we're going to use the paper pack a lot. Like, I love to get all I can out of a paper pack, and this is a great way to do it. All right, so there's 1 little note card. Now let's do one with a Santa on it. So like I said, I'm going to do 3 with Santas, 3 with snowflakes, and we'll be right back. So these guys are all ready now except the decorating. We've got the inside done, the outside done. Our note cards are almost complete, so I'll put those aside. Now let's look at our cards themselves, our A2 size cards. The reason we cut these shapes is now we can do this onto our cards and get these interesting shapes. So we can have a snowflake one and a Santa one, see this? And the card front will have this diagonal shape. I'm going to go ahead and glue these down. Don't worry, this is just the beginning. When I show you the piece we add to it, it's all going to tie it all together. And you'll be like, oh, how easy is that? If you know Maymay at all, she only does easy. I love to do a project. I love to spend the time doing projects, but I also love when they're not so hard that I get frustrated and I want to walk away from the craft room, because that's not the point at all. We want to stay in the craft room and have fun, and sometimes we just need simple, easy projects that we can just sit down and start and enjoy. All right, 2 card fronts ready for decoration. Now our next 2 card fronts, I'm going to use these strips, and I can put them anywhere. I can put 1 across the side. I can put 1 down the middle. I think I'm going to put them on opposite sides, and I'm going to let one side be snowflakes. So I'm going to glue down the Santa side of 1. And remember, these are cut so we have a little border, so they're not just not right to the edge. We're going to leave that little 1/4 of an inch or the 1/8 of an inch border. Okay, so there's my snowflake one, and I think on this side I'm going to do Santa. The idea is just to kind of mix it up. It will look like you sat and designed every single card, when in reality, you just cut a piece of paper apart and then put it kind of where it should live. There's 2 card bases ready for more decorating. And then we have 2 more. This is pretty easy, huh? You could get this done. Okay, here I have the same situation, but I can choose. Maybe I want this card to go this way, and maybe I want to use this as like a focal point in the middle, whatever I want to do. I'm not going to do that on this one, but you could do that. I wanted to show you how you could change that orientation at this point. I'm going to put Santa on 1, and I think I'm going to let Santa be at the bottom. You can even make a pocket out of that. And then I'm going to put snowflakes at the top here. This card may get a different orientation. You just never know. I'm just going to start with this. What I mean by that is because this pattern is so neutral as far as which way it goes, I can always put whatever focal point I want so that this card opens this way. Okay, so our 6 A2 cards are ready for decoration. Now, I'm not going to do the tags just yet. I'm going to go ahead and do these guys, and then whatever scraps I have left over, I'm using on the tags. Some of my favorite sheets from paper packs are these, and I know that sometimes these kind of you think are wasteful because you're like, what am I going to do with these? Well, let me show you. We're going to cut this apart, break this down, and we're going to turn this into our cards. All the work will be done for us. Check this out. First thing we need to do is trim this guy out. And typically these are done in such a way that you just make straight lines and you can get all of these little I call them card makers. You might call them tag makers, because I've done a little bit of everything with these guys, and I have lots of videos on my channel showing you that. So watch what happens. You just break these apart and they become perfect focal points for cards. Look at that. Perfect. So I'm going to cut all these apart. Now, this is solid white. You could leave this way if you wanted to use it like on a scrapbook page or what have you. But I happen to know that these are 3-inch pieces that I'm cutting. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut that at 3 inches so I get this piece for a card front. But I also have this piece I can use for a card front. Same thing here. First, I'm going to cut this little decorative strip away here at the top. and then cut these guys apart. This one's going to give us a bigger piece here. Isn't that adorable? I love it. And then I'm going to cut this one down. Now what I have here is one of each of our card fronts that we just put that little piece of paper on. Now I'm going to show you this. Look what happens when we kind of pop this little guy up on the front, or even lay this little dude out. Hello, Santa. How cute is that, right? Then let's look at maybe this plaid, Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. I love that one there. And maybe this deer on this one. Or if we had one that was going in the sideways orientation, none of these in particular do. But if I want to cut this down, and I think I will, I can put this right across the front of this card. Let me do that real quick. So I'm going to cut this down as small as I can get it for the front of that card. And I use the trimmer edge here, like the clear edge. I just kind of line the image up to that clear edge and then slice. And I know if I do that, let me get this piece off. If I do that, I'm not cutting into the image, see that? But I'm cutting away as much as I can. Do the same thing here. I'm going to lay that image on the edge of this clear plastic guide and then cut. So I'm getting super close to the image without cutting into the image. Same thing here, the edge of the car, I'm going to line up to that very edge of the clear part of my trimmer, cut that away. See how close I'm getting? And then the last little bit to the tires. And because I'm doing this in my trimmer, I'm keeping a good rectangle orientation because I'm using the trimmer to help me keep it straight instead of trying to just cut like that. Now let's see if this guy will fit. And he does if I'd let him go all the way across the card. But I gotta be honest, I think it's cute and I want to use it. So he's gonna live all the way across. I could trim him down a tiny bit more, but I don't really know if it would help that much. I think he looks cute kind of going all the way across. So there's one card. So I'm gonna do that same thing with all of our cards, just picking photos or picking the little images to go on the front to make our cards. Let's do this one really quick. See this big roll of foam that I have? I use this a lot in my assembly line card making, and we just got this in the store. So if you're interested, I have this online. And what I'm gonna do, it's a thinner one, so I'm gonna use it to pop these up. And the reason I wanna use a thinner foam square is because these are gonna be stacked in that pocket, and that way they'll fit real well. Plus, when the person goes to mail it, it really won't charge them any extra to mail it because it's just such a tiny little bit of foam. But I think popping these up on the foam really will make them cute on these simple cards that we've done. You can also use foam squares, which I love and I use all the time, but it's whatever you have and whatever works the quickest for you. You can tell that I don't stress too much about how that looks on the back. You're not going to see it. It's just going to do the job. So we're going to peel the backers off of all of these. Pick this up and I'm going to put it into place. And I think I want it to kind of hover over to one side. I love how that looks. Look at that perfectly done card. Super quick and easy, and the inside is already ready for notes, so that's one card down. Let's do another one together. So let's do this one on the diamond. So I have this one I love that says Hello Santa. You could glue this straight down, no issue, but I'm going to pop it up. I think it'll be cute. A note to you about your foam. I'm a little bit lazy, so I kind of use whatever I have handy, but the best scissors to use to cut your foam are your Teflon coated snips or scissors from Tim Holtz. I don't have them in here because I took them with me to a class and did not put them back in my room, so I didn't want to stop, and that's what I mean by I'm a little lazy. So I'm using my cutter bees, which means I'll have to clean them after this, but that's okay. I can clean them with a little alcohol, and that'll make the sticky come off of my scissor blade. But if I were you, I'd use something Teflon coated like a Tim Holtz shear of sorts. Okay, so this guy is ready now to put right on the front. I could either line it up on that diagonal, but I think I'm going to take it off just a little bit. Love it. 2 cards, done and done. I'm going to go finish all the rest of the cards the same way, and we'll get right back together. So I want to show you. So these guys I popped up on the little foam just a little bit, these 3. But then I thought, let me turn this the right way. But then I thought, if you don't have foam and you wanted to just glue them down, look, there's not that much of a difference. And I think you could get away with gluing them straight down. Just use what you've got so you're getting the job done and having a good time. So our 6 cards are ready for our box. Now let's talk note cards. And this might be my very, very favorite part of the entire project, and I'll show you why. Almost every one of these paper packs come with a sticker sheet, and I love to use the sticker sheet in lots of different ways. And for these gift cards, it's the perfect place. Let me show you what I mean. So you see this little sticker right here that is already layered and looking so cute for us with a font and everything on it. If I take this little guy and I put it directly down onto the card, I now have the cutest little note card. Super fast and easy, just like that. You can punch something out to put behind it. You can pop it up, whatever you want to do. But how cute is that, right? Then let's look at another one. I want to use one of these Santa ones, and I want to use this little flag that says Santa Stop Here. So cute. Pop this guy up, and then right here in this little white open spot, because this has Santa all over it, I'm just going to put Santa Stop Here. Done, right? So easy. Let's find I think for this one, I'm just going to use this one that says Deck the Halls and use it kind of above that Santa and just stick that little guy in place. Here's our tags. We have 6 of them to complete. Now, one thing I want to remind you is if you made this box with me earlier, you probably have a lot of scraps left over from making your box as well. Remember these pages and these little pieces? You can go crazy using all of the scraps that you have left, as long as you kind of keep them all together. Like, for example, this little piece right here. This is perfect to just run up the side of this tag, just like this. I'm going to glue that down. I'm going to show you. So I've just taken this scrap. I'm not cutting it or anything. Just going to glue it down to the tag. Just like so. To one side. Then I'm going to snip off what I don't need here at the top. And now that is going to be the base for whatever sticker I decide to put on my tag. So there's one. So then let's look at this one. This one, I could run this across the bottom and use that scrap up. Perfect. Trim off what I don't need. There's another one. Let's try to use this one. I think this is really cute with the little words or the polka dots, either one. Oh, I like the polka dots. Let's do that down this side. Another thing, if you're not sure about where to put your glue, go ahead and just hold this where you want it and then trim away what you don't need. Oops, my sticky scissors. Laziness. Okay, trim away what you don't need right there. And then you can glue that down and you know exactly how much you need to glue. Now all of these guys are ready for stickers again. So let's go back to our sticker pack. And I just like to do them one at a time. I just lay them down, pick one up, and this stocking would be so cute on here, I think. Or even, I could turn it sideways and put the car on it. I could use one of the word, anything. You can just go crazy with these little guys. Now for putting the holes into your tags, these for the most part, I don't really care where the holes live. These guys right here. So I'm going to punch them all at the same time using my crocodile. So I'm just going to put them all together. Use my crocodile, which will punch through these no problem, all of these at the same time. So just make that hole, okay? This one I wanted to be specific, remember, so I'm going to line it up in here and punch that. Cute. It's time to add ribbon to our tags, and I'm a sucker for baker's twine, so that's what I'm going to start with is some baker's twine. I'm going to cut a piece away, not too awful long because I don't want this to kind of take up too much room in my box, but I do want them to be able to tape it onto a gift or tie it on. So what I've done is I've looped my baker's twine in half, and I'm going to send that loop through the hole on my tag, and then where this loop opens in the back, I'm going to send these 2 loose pieces through that loop and just do a slip knot like that. Super easy, and that way they can put that onto a gift. So now for the time we've all been waiting for, loading this box up. So I've opened the box. Here's the lid here to the side, and we're going to fill everything in. I love the way this says Jingle All the Way, so I'm going to let it sit like that. But I've got my 6 cards. I'm going to add 6 envelopes to the back of them so that whoever gets this will have envelopes, and those will sit right inside, just like so. Then I've got little 3x3 envelopes. I'm going to take those, and I'm going to put them together, and these go in this front small pocket. I'll turn this so you can see it in just a second, and then our tags are ready to go. I'm going to tuck the little strings behind and then put these into the box just like that. You can even let these hang forward because there's room in here for those to live. It'll be super cute. So now when we turn it this way, look, we filled it up with all our little cards and tags for our recipient. That one didn't quite go in. Neither did this one. Push it down. See there? Super cute. Now in this little spot, you want to make sure you put some postage stamps so they can send these cards. Now someone else mentioned if you didn't want to use postage stamps, you could stamp some sentiments and cut them out and slide them in here so they could add them to their cards later. Love it. Close this guy up. There's a pen included. When this person gets this one, they can get started. The only thing left to do is to decorate it. I personally would add a ribbon and a bow right here and make it look like a gift box and be done. I hope that helps you today with your card making, even not just for making in this box, but for taking paper packs and turning them into cards, which I think are amazing. So when the person gets it, they open it up and they have all of these goodies. All of their cards are ready to go. All of their little note cards are ready to go. Super cool. Hey, thanks so much for watching this. This has been a fun process video, and I'm going to work my way through a lot of your suggestions from how to make cards, things you're wanting to know, your questions, even your suggestions. So every Tuesday for the next while is going to be all about cards, and next week I hope to bring you one about postage and mailing. I'm really working on this, and I'm going to try to put some good stuff together for you to kind of take the, the mystery out of what to do when you're shipping or when you're mailing your cards. So thanks so much for watching again. If you make one of these, you know we want to see it. You can share it with us over on our Facebook group, which is called Maymay Made It, and so did I. You can tag us in your photos on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, anywhere that you use social media. Just tag Maymay Made It and let me see what you're making. Thanks so much for watching today, guys. Talk to you again real soon. Bye-bye.